Hi, everyone, and welcome to Module 5 and 6. We're still investigating our project, and this one's really becoming, or at least discussing, how do we become an expert with sources? So, I don't expect you to become an expert in your topic, but I do want you to become an expert with the sources that you're finding. So, when I say expert, I'm talking in terms of what are you exploring with your project? And then what sources and resources are you using to help you learn more about your project? So it's relevant to when I say expert, it's really about how you can be a better learner of your project and your topic. How can you sharpen those tools as far as knowledge base? And how you can really get the most out of the sources that you have. So let's take a look at what we've been through so far. So you've had your driving question, and you can really slim down your driving question as you're starting to move through. Maybe I or Miss Wilson have given you some suggestions, but hopefully you have a more solid driving question. Now, in the last module, you started to create and continue to add to your list of need to knows. So, really, that's how you become an expert in your topic by creating a list of need to knows. What are some things you need to know? And as you're learning, do I add to that list? What are some additional things I need to know? Maybe I need to be more specific. Maybe I'm like, oh, I need to learn how to paint. But then as you're starting to work with your community partner, maybe you're like wondering, do I need to know more about technique? Do I need to know about different kinds of paint? Do I need to know about different artists in that time period? Do I need to know about different brushes and brush strokes? So that's when we're starting to really refine our list of needs to knows. So, by thinking about that, let's start to think about what sources you have, what sources you can use to become a resource to help you understand or answer those driving questions. So, again, we're looking at this model, and as I said, you're working with your community partner, learning new concepts, hopefully doing a little research as you're learning those concepts, whether you're asking your community partner, whether it's through practice. And we're working our way through the semester to our final goal of how can I demonstrate what I've learned? As you're doing your research, you're finding sources, and those sources are becoming resources for you to use in supporting your work. So, during your work with your community partner, it's time to become more of an expert in finding more information about your topic. And so, by doing that, we're going to identify what are some sources you can use. So, again, your community partner, great source for you to use in becoming an expert. If you have questions, ask your community partner. Maybe you don't necessarily have a direct person you can ask. Could you find an expert? Maybe there's experts out there, whether it's something that you can Google or do a little research and find maybe there's somebody in that field that you could ask, whether it's a teacher at the high school or whether it's somebody in the business world that's doing maybe doing work in that field, or it's additional research experts that you can find. What source can you find besides maybe your community partner? There's also books and related articles or interviews and videos. So, again, your sources of information to help you become a better expert in your topic don't necessarily have to end with your community partner. It could be something where you just Google more information. Maybe your community partner has some books or has a YouTube channel that talks more in depth about nutrition or about technique. Or maybe you have a family member that's a coach that does also um, um, that talks more about competitive uh, competitive sports or also has the experience of coaching. So if maybe your community partner is being on a competitive team, and so not only could you ask your coach for that specific team, but maybe you have family friends that are also in that field. So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be your community partner. That's a perfect source, but there's also experts, there's books, there's articles, and other community members. So what does that mean? Well, your sources are really becoming resources for your project. They're becoming helpful ways for you to actually build that knowledge and really become an expert in that topic. By having those questions, by realizing, hey, these are things I need to know or want to know about my project, you're building those skills, those facts, that knowledge to help support your project. And that's ultimately what we're doing. We didn't expect you to jump right into your project and know everything. But our goal is to start really thinking about what kind of questions can I ask? How can I dive deeper into what I'm learning? And then what sources do I have as I'm going through this project to help support and create a more in depth project? So, again, first things first is identifying like what are those things that I need to know? What are concepts that I'm learning? And then what sources do I have that help support that as I'm going through the learning process, as I'm asking questions? So we're really refining and streamlining our project by acknowledging what we need to know. So, what are some things we need to know? Again, that list can flex as you start going through your project in the next few weeks. So, as you're starting to go through your project, what are some things you need to know about skill, about technique, about maybe botany or some of the science aspects of your project, or maybe some form that you're working with when you're talking about a skill you're learning? And then, what are sources that you have found, whether it's asking your um, community partner, like, why is this important? Why is this something that we do it this way? And then a solution to your project. Hopefully that all becomes a solution to your project.